Claude Lemieux is the president of Four Sports North America and the agent for Frederik Andersen. Claude, thank you so much for joining us on the Jeff Blair Show.
Thanks for having me.
It sounds like this is based on what Lou Lamoriello is saying and based on what Frederik is saying. It sounds like this is a really good fit for your client, isn't it?
Well, I think it is. Freddie is excited about the opportunity. We really had no impact on the trade. We did not request the trade, but we knew there was a good chance it was going to happen. We had some good, honest conversations with Bob Murray, with Anaheim, and what they were capable of doing with regards to a contract for Freddie. And if we couldn't agree to a certain number, then we were looking at a potential trade. So, knowing the market, I thought there was a good chance that he could be Toronto, and I think it's a great fit for both for Freddie and the Leafs.
You know, Claude, when a client is traded at this point in the season before the draft, very early in the off season, very early in the shopping market, is there kind of a reluctance sometimes on the part of the player or the agent to commit to a team? Maybe you want to wait and see what the next step is that team makes, wait and see how committed that team is to winning. Or if the fit is right, is it a matter of the fit is right, the time is right every time?
I think every situation is different. In this case, the trade would not have taken place if we didn't get a deal done. So Lou and I had an opportunity to speak and agree to terms prior to sort of pulling the trigger. So, I couldn't see anyone giving up what the Leafs gave up or anybody else, and not having this player locked up for a long-term deal.
Obviously, because you signed here. Because Freddie signed here, there's a sense he's going to be comfortable here. But we've talked about it in this city how this is a big hockey market. There's a lot of media here. There are going to be a lot of demands on Freddie as the number one on Frederik. I'm sorry, as the number one goaltender here. He sounds ready for it. Claude, you've played in maybe the hottest hockey market around. Is he the type of guy who will be able to put up with the scrutiny and the pressure that's going to come from being, let's face it, he's going to be the starting goaltender for the Toronto Maple Leafs and probably a starting goaltender for the Toronto Maple Leafs if it all goes well when this team makes it back to the playoffs?
Well, you said it. I played myself in, I considered probably the most difficult market in Montreal, having the ongoing war between the French media and the English media, and for that reason, I say it's worse than it is in Toronto.
I think you're right.
But it's definitely a demanding market, but it goes both ways. And knowing Freddie for 4 or 5 years now, and his personality, he is not the kind of guy that gets really high, and he's not the kind of guy that gets really low. And Freddie is someone that he's built to be a goaltender. So I think the way that he is as a person, he is not an outgoing kind of guy. He's a great teammate, cares a lot about his team, and cares a lot about wins and losses. It's not about Freddie Andersen. It's about the team first. And I think he will adjust as much as we can talk about it, as much as we can make him aware that every day in the locker room is going to feel like a Stanley Cup Finals. Until you see it and you feel it, you don't really know what it's like. But he'll get used to it. I mean, I was capable of handling it. I think great players love the stage, and I put him in that category. And he was 2 years ago in the playoffs. He was a game away from the Stanley Cup Finals, and he played and took his team to Winnipeg, which was one of the loudest buildings ever in the history, probably, with playoffs coming back to Winnipeg. And he was a stud, and he loved it. He loved how loud. He loved the atmosphere. So I think Freddie, to me, fits in that category of players that love a big stage and love the pressure of having to perform night in and night out. Having said all that, Lou knows, and Brendan Shanahan knows better than anybody in the business. He is just one individual, one important key component of building a hockey team. And I always say a goaltender is your foundation, and you can have a, stainless steel roof, but you better have a good solid foundation to hold that up. So this is how Lou built his previous winners, starting from the back end, and I think he's doing the same thing in signing us. And again, I think it's a great fit.